Okay, welcome to another meeting of UFO Paranormal and More. I'm your host, Ray Kosulandich. Tonight I got Alfred Webre and Tolec as my guests tonight. Okay, I want to have everybody's attention or let you know a little bit what's going on here. I met with my guys last Wednesday for Sunday, and where's she at? Oh, there they are. You guys, I was telling you, because you would say, why should we even travel? Minor earthquakes, some people, that there was only a few that were going to ascend. These are contactees, and like my friend is coming on tonight, Tolec, because he's really been told he's out of here pretty soon. There'll be a walk-in take his place. I don't want anybody to bring that up to him, though, okay? Because I told him I wouldn't say this. This walk-in won't. Well, I'm just saying this.
Don't talk to him anymore.
Yeah, I know. And the other thing is, okay, on TV you've seen it last week, over the weekend. I don't know if it was South Carolina, but I know in France it happened. The unusual rain that they had. These people were in a tunnel, a parking lot tunnel. 17 people died, drowned. They tried to do a chain reaction to pull them out. They didn't have enough time. I think with South Carolina, 5 people died. They had the floods too. So we're going to have unusual weather. And what I've been trying to tell you guys in the beginning, just do what you're supposed to do with the 6 cases of water, the canned goods, candles, battery operated, everything. Just in case you need it. Because of what's going to happen is we're getting closer. And right now, even though it's 2 years away, the major year for us, 2017. I think a lot of shit's gonna hit the fan. I can say that. But I'll be seeing George days in less than a week as we move forward, because they saw some things on the 23rd, because everybody was kind of scared for that date, September. Everybody was talking about it anyway. He was knocked off a timeline by the cabal, and thank God it was like 3 places: Phoenix, California, there was Mexico, all had 4.3s. And what we're talking major, we're talking 9.3 that I thought was going to really hit, because this didn't happen until like 1964, Alaska.
In Vancouver too.
Okay, and they had a large tsunami, a lot of people got killed. This is what they're concerned about. But you guys have to understand, ET can't intervene on something like with Mother Nature's going to pull, and with who's going to pull things too to eliminate us. They're going after CERN. They only went after HARP. And I pity the guy that pushes the button in CERN, because he might get electrocuted the way they got this thing set up. But there's going to be a lot of things happen as we move forward. Scott.
I hate to interrupt, but on this CERN issue, the word is they're experimenting with dark matter, antimatter, all kinds of fun stuff. They're going to open up some portals and some really
Well,
bad
2 months ago,
activities are gonna come through.
yeah, okay, 2 months ago, we got this from George. They had, for their top scientists, for like 5 days, they couldn't even turn it on. And I think George's ET had a role in that, to where they couldn't use it. But they know what's going on with that. What they're trying to do is eliminate us anyway. I've been saying this from the get-go since I got
I'm not
into
certain of their intention, but when you start doing what they're doing, some real super negative things are going to come through, and they're not going to like the result. And it's going to affect all of us.
Right. But everybody's worried about ascension. When we're going to ascend is coming. I can't give you a date or anything right now until I get more information. How you doing, Linda?
Hey.
It's Linda Emmanuel, which is going to be my next speaker.
Hi, Linda.
Right here in person. But anybody got any questions?
Oh, I got one more quickie.
Go ahead.
The 23rd, that was supposed to be a big day when believe it or not, the Pope was supposed to address the United Nations and declare a new world order and ask all governments to get involved in this.
He did.
Oh, he did that?
That's what he was supposed to do.
He put up the signal.
Yeah, he was letting all the big corporations know what they're going to
So
do.
that did happen.
They're going to find out about. They're going to find out about.
Agenda 21 started.
Okay,
There's gonna be a lot of things coming out.
Well, what do you think ascension means?
What does it mean? Okay, this planet Earth, even though it's 3D, will be the new fourth and fifth dimensional, bigger, more beautiful planet Earth. You're gonna ascend into another dimension, fourth or third.
Another vibration.
Fourth, fifth, okay? That's what's gonna happen, but not everybody is gonna go right to the fourth. Some people will bypass the fourth into the fifth, that will become master teachers with ET. So when, like, I'll be here till they're done with me, then you guys will see me up there. But, like, if you go to the fourth, you're gonna know who your relationship ET is. You're gonna know everything that was taken away from you. You're gonna know all your past lives. You're gonna know these answers through these teachers of ET and humans.
Well, fourth dimensional Earth look very much like this one to us.
Fourth dimension spirit
To a
world.
point.
It's more high tech.
Yeah, more high
And it's
tech.
in frequencies.
Right,
It's
right.
not, it's in like little layers.
Your third dimensional world that you're in now ain't gonna be nothing like the new fourth and fifth. And the people that go in the third dimensional world out there, us humans that wanna stay third dimensional, their world of third dimensional won't be like the bullshit we've been going through the years. You know what I'm talking about, who's been doing what to us and all this. They're gonna have a pretty good world, okay? You're gonna have the greatest world. You're not gonna be able to want for nothing. You can sit there in your chair. If you want a cheeseburger, pizza, beer, whatever the hell you want. The house, the dream house that you wanna live in, it's there. You're not gonna have one bill like you have now. Electric, gas.
You're gonna get what you need, not what
Yeah.
you want.
Right.
You're
But-
gonna get what you
I
need,
agree with you.
This
not
was
what
supposed,
you want.
this was supposed to happen a long time ago. But you know who stopped this? For the monetary system of money that we're under. There won't be no money ever. You're gonna be trading energy and goods just like ET.
Yeah, they don't work for money.
They don't.
It's all on what credit, whatever you want to call it.
Well, I like my home. I
But you
consider
do
my
what you
home my
want to
dream
do.
home.
But that home that you have now, all them homes we have now will be gone. You're gonna be in a different world, a better place, no disease, no wars, nobody controlling us, trying to eliminate us like they do here. You're not gonna have anybody in charge. And if there's any kind of severe attack or whatever, they'll take care of that.
We'll all be anarchists.
Do what?
Thought we already were.
Anarchists.
Did
No government.
that answer your question a little bit?
Okay, it does help, thank you.
And I'm not trying to be smart with you this week, you know that. I'm just letting you know, this is what they give me. I'm a voice for them, I get it out. Whether it's good stuff or something serious. You know, like what I did get out. I don't sugarcoat nothing. If it's gonna be bad, I'm gonna tell you. But, it's in school, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, my turn. What about now, Tolec is on Andromada Council. Will there still be councils to kind of guide and,
Oh, yeah.
because I'm thinking about the Native American grandmothers are beginning to raise up now and start to lead through love, through the heart.
Right.
And I was just thinking that's probably part of the whole movement.
That'd be in there.
Yeah, there's special
There'll be
picked
councils.
committees, and those committee members are picked by their aura field.
Right.
In other words, you don't have like a president or,
Right.
everybody's equal.
No.
Equal, exactly.
Even if your gifts are different from somebody else, nobody thinks twice about it. Everybody's very equal. But they're committees, and they
Yes.
all make decisions together.
Yeah.
Just like when first
The
contact,
energy councils.
when first contact comes, you're gonna have a false contact. That's by you know who, they're gonna pull out the last thing they can, it's their last scan. They're also gonna have to have a hologram of the picture of Christ, like it's the second coming of Christ. And a lot of people are gonna believe this
There is
shit.
no.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this, okay? I know what you just said.
Yeah, there's no devil,
I-
there's no God.
I don't care, I'm just giving the information out so that these people know. And what will happen on that first contact, which will be the reptilians, but once they announce themselves, That's when George or Tolec's Tribunal Council will take them out. They gotta wait until they announce themselves. But whoever the real contact is, whoever gets chosen for that, I don't know. But when they do it, they'll do it like in a small town, and they'll have some kind of volume system where people can hear them, what's going on, where to go over here, and move forward. They're not going to just come in here and bolt and scare the hell out of everybody. They're going to do it in a way that eases every time. And this is the information I get. Who gets the first calling? I have no idea.
Taking volunteers.
So Ray, something that I've kind of heard and read about, and I don't quite remember where it was, but they were talking about the United States being the first country of contact with one in Canada and South America. But what they were talking about was having smaller ships, 3 or 4 star people, and coming into smaller communities and talking and sharing with people, and then eventually branching out into, you know, the larger cities and stuff, because there's going to be too much of people freaking out
Oh,
and
yeah,
all the rest of it.
They're going to ooze it, you know, like a
Yeah.
small town,
Yeah.
and spread, and gradually spread out.
Right,
They can't come in here and bolt and just like, you're going to put a lot of fear in people.
right,
Because they don't know who it is. They don't know if it is the good ones or the bad ones.
right.
And I can understand that.
Whatever, it's been done.
Now, as far as I know, we're trying to get Alfred here. And you know that Tolec can't show himself because of the way he looks and everything. But I know he did the Mount Shasta, and he's on there, you'll be able to see him. This is out of my hands, but I will respect Tolec. So, when you come up here, you got a question for Tolec, I have a chair, sit in it, just ask him. Don't do it for everybody. Hey Tolec, you ready?
I sure am, go ahead.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, my good friend, Tolec. So whatever you want to talk about, what you did at Mount Shasta, any updates with the Andromada, the Ascension. I did some things last week on Dr. Sam Leslie's show. And I'm going to do some more updates, but go ahead, my friend, you got the floor.
Hi, everybody. Can you, first of all, I want to apologize for not being on camera because I'm out here in the Pacific Northwest. I've been traveling for a while. I've got about 4 or 5 days growth on my beard. I got a baseball cap on and it ain't pretty. So,
I love a man with a beard, Tolec.
hi there. So I'm doing this off camera. But it's me, I can assure you. I'm here up in the Pacific Northwest. We'll be heading over to Mount Shasta for the 2015
Take a break and I'll switch it out.
Higher Dimensional Shift Conference in a couple weeks, actually Saturday, October the 17th. For those of you who haven't found out about it yet, there's a flyer on the Andromada Council website for the 2015 Higher Dimensional Shift Conference, which will take place in the greater Mount Shasta area, Saturday, October 17th. Myself, Victoria Vives, who is a shamanic healer, does QHHT therapy, and a few other things. Dr. Joe Mara of Guiding Light Radio, and Cedar Moss, who's an intuitive counselor and shamanic healer also, will be there speaking at that conference. So, if you're interested, you want to attend, we'd love to see any of you there. I expect it's going to be exciting. When I was at the first Mount Shasta conference about a month and a half ago, it was pretty amazing. I think we had like 225 people plus for the first few days of the conference, and then some additional people showed up later. I was astounded at the number of cell phones, iPads, intelligent phones, digital phones, of photos that people were taking of themselves around the campfires at night, up by the lake during the day, and all of the orbs, balls of light, whatever you want to call those higher dimensional beings that were manifesting themselves as little small balls of light. They were everywhere in people's phones. So I can tell you categorically that there were a lot of higher dimensional people hanging out at that first Mount Shasta conference, probably about a month and a half ago. I was with Michael Sala, and let's see, James Gillian, he also spoke. It was a great conference, very interesting because it took place up in an off-site kind of encampment among the pine trees as part of the Mount Shasta National Forest. So people camped out. They were there for somewhere between 3 to 5 days of the conference, depending who attended, and it was just a great event for everybody. I was bunked with Alex Collier, so we had some certainly fascinating conversations, and I'd forgotten what it was like to go to these conferences. I had attended some many years ago, back in the early 90s, but it hadn't been to one since. So this time I was a speaker. It was a lot of fun. I don't have any massive, life-changing updates. I can tell you this, based on the movement of magma under the planet, based on the conversations I've been having with my Andromada Council contact people, based on the high registered earthquakes down in Chile and other places, the swarms of earthquakes all across the planet, that we are definitely in the time of change of this world, the time of transition as it's heading toward transforming into becoming a higher dimensional world. So those things are going on. I can also tell you that because of those things going on, the people on the Andromada Council, Primary Biosphere, and others, usually they are jovial, lighthearted. They're typically very lighthearted and happy about their work. And I can tell you right now, because of the meetings I've been to recently, the mood is very somber, and they're very serious, because there are a bunch of things that are going to be happening on this planet, and certainly out in space, sometime in the near future, which will change the face of this world. And so there are a lot of preparations being made. In terms of new information, that's all that I have that's new. I'd be welcome and happy to entertain any questions that you, Ray, and any of your people may have. I haven't done this in a while in terms of question-answer format, so feel free to go ahead, and I'll tell you whatever I know.
You got it, buddy. Anybody got any questions for Tolec? Go ahead. Ian's got a question. Come on up here. And what I forgot, Tolec, and I should have done this in the beginning, because Alfred Webre is the wizard, and Tolec is the kid from left field.
Well, like I said earlier, I've got 4 to 5 days beard growth and a baseball cap. I've been out in the wilderness, and I'm, from a professional perspective, I'm not really presentable. And that's the only reason that I'm not on camera right now. To say that I'm scruffy looking would be an understatement.
We understand, buddy.
But, matter of fact, I expect that I'm going to be receiving the video sometime in the near future, hopefully, from Rob Potter from that first Mount Shasta conference. I'm waiting for him to give me the video portion of me speaking for the hour and 45 minutes and answering questions, so I can post it in the Andromada Council website. I just haven't gotten it yet.
That's okay.
I don't know why I haven't gotten it, but I'll be giving him a phone call pretty soon, nudging him gently.
Okay. Here's Ian with his first question.
Okay. How you doing? My question is this. I know that both you and Ray had met and interviewed Sherry Ridgway.
Yes, great lady.
And I know that we were told by Ray that there was something that happened with the timelines recently where some of the things that she had been told had not come to pass in exactly the same fashion. I'm wondering if you had any comments about that.
Sherry is a wonderful woman. She has wonderful energy. I don't know about the specifics to which you're referring. I mean, we've had quite a few conversations. What she expects in her life, what I expect in my life, what you expect in your life, we're individual people living individual lives, and we all have different desires, wishes, expectations, etc. I can say that knowing Sherry and talking to Sherry about Sherry, she's hoping to go off planet soon. She's been telling me about the transmutation process that her body is going through.
Yeah.
Her ribs are diminishing, they're deteriorating, diminishing. Her tailbone is deteriorating, diminishing, to the point where she feels that much of her organic body is simply diminishing over time as she prepares to transmute herself and become a higher dimensional person. Now, this is how she's experiencing it. I've spoken with another woman who's going through a similar process, but that doesn't mean everyone is going through this process. I'm not having any physical symptoms of transformation or change. This 3D physical organic body of mine in its 50s is solid, it's in good shape, it's well lubricated. I exercise a lot. I typically play a lot of tennis. Been in the ocean recently, so I'm fine. There's nothing that I'm experiencing, but that's as much as I can tell you.
Okay, Tolec, thanks, Ian. I want to go along with that, Tolec, because that's confirmation for me to again that word. I talk to Sherry almost every other night, and she can't wait to leave. Yeah, with her bone structure, the way it's dissipated and all that, and she's with the Arcturians. They're going to be taking care of her anyway. Everything you said about her, I agree with 100% on that. Anybody got another question for Tolec? Frank,
By the way, just for the record, I'm hearing what sounds like some mumbling in the background, but I can't hear any question being asked.
Hi, Tolec. My name's Frank.
Wait a minute. Did you get to hear what Ian said to you, the first guy?
Yeah, I didn't hear anything. I heard what sounded like some mumbling, 200 yards away, but I didn't hear any observations or questions.
Well, you answered it pretty good. Go ahead, Frank.
Hi, Tolec. My name's Frank.
Hi, Frank. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, Tolec, have you ever been to the Gilliland Ranch?
I have not. No. I met James at the Mount Shasta conference about a month and a half ago. He and I had shared some time together on 2 interview programs. We really enjoyed each other. We flow easily together. He's a good man. He's got a good heart. Met him at the Mount Shasta conference. We had a couple of nice conversations. But I have not been to his ECETI ranch.
Okay. Cool. Well, I've been there like 3 times. I'm also a contactee. And I was wondering, what do you think is the true purpose of CERN? And what do you think are the possibilities if they activate that thing again? Ray tells us that his people are going to shut it down, but what's your opinion on that?
I was traveling recently in one of many airports just off of a plane, and I read something, I don't remember where it was, but I read something about the CERN operation, the Super Collider, I guess, operation being shut down. No, I'd also heard that there was another one up and running somewhere, but as you know, our higher dimensional friends have ways of causing things to misfire or shut off or shut down or not work.
Right on.
That's right.
Yeah, and they can do it. They can do it they can do it what would be invisible to us simply by directing energies toward a particular situation. They've certainly done it at least 4 or 5 times that I'm aware of over the past 4 or so years, having to do with attempted launches of nuclear warheads and nuclear missiles. So if they can cause those things to misfire, not operate, shut down, and disappear, they can, it's like 3D technology is easy for them to deal with. because their technology is far more advanced. So they do what they've got to do. So, as it's relative to CERN, I'm sure they can do whatever is necessary. Especially, I'm going to paraphrase the Andromeda Council scientists that I talked to about this topic probably a year and a half, 2 years ago. And here's the paraphrase. They said, they're kind of like children with matches. They have no idea of the level of technology that they're playing with. None whatsoever. And if they did have an idea of what they were playing with, they wouldn't be playing with it. It's like they don't know what they don't know. Because they don't know, they don't even have an inkling of the frequencies and the interdimensional aspects that they're trying to mess with. So, if you think about the fact that there might be some benevolent ETs that would cause those to shut down, that makes good sense.
Right. Very good.
So, next question.
Anybody else? Ray? Ray Mummy? Ray Mummy, Tolec.
Hey, Tolec.
Sure, I'm ready.
Are you familiar with Keshi, I'm sure, right? Dr. Keshi?
Say again?
Kesh. In Iran. New
Oh,
technology.
this guy from the Keshi, the transhumanist, the Keshi Foundation guy?
Correct.
Hang on. Let's have a raceway out there, buddy.
Go ahead.
Okay. Recently, I saw an interview with him, and he was talking about some of the things that are going on with Earth and some dire predictions about earthquakes coming up pretty soon with continent shifts with the
Yes, I've heard this, or I've heard of this. Yep.
He's predicting that could happen pretty soon here. So I didn't know. I just didn't know if you had any more information on that. That's all I had to say. Thanks.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, the gentleman from the Keshi Foundation. Yes, I've heard of his own references. I don't know specifically what he said, but I can tell you that over the course of the 4+ years that I've been doing this work, the people from the Andromeda Council have consistently told me that there would be, in this era of change that we're in, earthquakes, more volcanoes popping off, that there would in fact be a crustal shift, likely, if you will, of 90 degrees from, let's say, 3 o'clock on a clock face to 12 midnight on a clock face, as one way to represent it. That all of those things would happen during this time of change that we're in. Now, I don't have a fixed timeline for when these things happen. And the reason that I don't have a fixed timeline is because as the people for the Andromeda Council have told me over and over again, especially post-January 14, it takes cosmic events out in space for things to happen here on Earth. The long story short, it is in fact cosmic events that happen in space, that because of the area of space that this solar system and this planet is traveling through, that the more dynamic the area of space that we are in, the more changes that will transpire on planet Earth. And my Andromeda Council contacts are able to give me information only based on what things happen out in space that will trigger things to happen down here. And have they told me that we are approaching a dynamic time of change? The answer is yes. When, as many people are continuing to ask, I don't know when. But, just keep paying attention to the fact that we're having 8.1 and 8.3 earthquakes happening off the coast of Chile. We're having massive clusters of earthquakes up in Alaska. Massive clusters of earthquakes all around the Rim of Fire. Volcanoes going off. All of those things lead to an indicator of this is a growing period of change that we're in. It's that simple. Again, when? Just keep looking at the number of changes and the fact that also, I was talking to Sherry recently, about 6 or 7 days ago, and she said that there are a number of buoys out in the different oceans all across this globe, and they're sort of ringing like fire bells. I'm using a metaphor, and they've never done this before. The people at the Andromada Council Biosphere are in a very, very serious mode. They are in planning preparations right now. Okay, so I think I pretty much answered, at least to the best of my ability, about the issue of Earth changes.
Anybody got a question for Tolec?
Yeah, go ahead and ask away.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Now's your time to ask him. We got Corey coming up.
I'm sorry, how is what?
Corey's coming up.
Hi, Tolec. My name is Corey.
Hi, Corey.
I've had a lot of experiences since I joined Ray's group. I've telepathically communicated with his star people. They've given me information. One of the questions I asked, how is Ray going to know that you're really communicating with me?
Coming in.
Okay.
And they gave me some personal information which he verified was correct. I've had a lot of visions, and I've had a lot of things happening with birds, visions of birds, feathers, things of that nature. How can we find out what our original home families are, or what planets we're from?
Hey, Corey, I will answer your question to the best of my ability.
My apologies. Somehow, this was not in my. I have a PowerPoint on exposing artificial intelligence. Do you want me to show that tonight?
Yes, that's fine. Alfred.
Can you also put
Hang on, Alfred. Hey, 1 second. Ladies and gentlemen, Alfred Webre.
All right.
This is a slideshow on exposing an off-planet invading AI, artificial intelligence, and the artificial intelligence matrix, both off-planet and on Earth, and some steps for restoring a soul-based and love-based humanity. Okay, so I've just flipped the slide, and I'm on slide number 2. Are people with me?
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are 3 parts to it. Part 1 will cover the initial, some of the initial episodes with an off-planet sentient plasma-based inorganic AI artificial intelligence that I've
Okay.
called Iggy.
Right.
That this is what the 1982 Falklands War was covertly all about, and also the BP oil spill, the 2010 BP oil spill. And we'll cover a lot of the things that have been going on there and what the relationship between the artificial intelligence and Morgellons is, and some of the more advanced RNA, DNA invasions that it has been planning through nanotechnology and chemtrails. And part 2 will cover the transhumanist agenda. In other words, the exopolitics of Iggy and on-planet AI, artificial intelligence. Where exactly things stand now with regard to artificial intelligence, which by and large has been kept from the human population. And in part 3, we'll look at solutions.
Okay.
And next slide. This is, this PowerPoint, excuse me, is the collective research of a community of artificial intelligence researchers, including David Griffin of Exopolitics UK, Al Kaufsveld of Germany, Lily Earthling Kolosova, Christine Anderson, Claudia Vaz, Evie Lorgan, Laura Leon, Jeffrey Searle, Laurent Murray, Lawrence Batis, Shane, Bradley Loves, Magnus Olson, Melanie Burcham, Lisa Renee Almasense, myself, and many others. Next slide. And now we have prima facie evidence for off-planet inorganic AI, artificial intelligence, and its attempted stealth takeover of living Earth and humanity. Next slide. We'll start out with a case study where we see that this artificial intelligence that we call Iggy was discovered at an ET underground base in the Falkland Islands, specifically in the Thule Islands there. And the Falklands War was really a cover for this. Next slide. What Harold Kaufsveld, the German side, the German scientist is saying that the governments are giving control to the military domain. The military domain is giving control to the intelligence community. The intelligence community is giving control to the black magicians. The black magicians are giving control to the demons, and the demons have lost control to their artificial intelligence. It is not about changing the government, but about the entire concept of governments is demonic. He says it is not about replacing people. That will never work. We need to replace the entire game because we have this new wild card, which is artificial intelligence. Next slide. And so this whole thing reads like a detective novel, and it turns out that we have deep genetic memory of this invading inorganic plasma-based artificial intelligence. Next slide. Going back to the Falklands War, which was a cover for this encounter with the artificial intelligence, what happened was that the islands in the Falklands War, there was constant skirmishes and claims between Britain, Spain, and Portugal. In the mid-1960s, the claims went up to the UN level, and in the mid-1970s, the Argentinians established a science buildings on Thule Island. And it was there on their base, there was a blue, next slide, there was a blue ET base, underground base, under Thule Island that had since World War I been attempting to deprogram this, what they call black goo or nano oil. It's a plasma in which the invading off-planet artificial intelligence, that's its medium or one of its mediums. And essentially what the Falklands War was about, which went from April to June 1982, it was about that the UK and the United States had gotten wind of the fact that Argentina had established close liaison with the Blue ETs, and that the military sector was now wanting to get hold of this black goo, this nano oil, to either weaponize it or to turn it into something that they could make a profit of. Next slide. And you can see a photograph of the Blue ETs there. And the Falkland Islands, where the base was very cold. It was right at the edge of the Antarctic, because if the black goo was exposed to heat or seawater, it's in various bedrock deposits around the Earth. If it's exposed to heat or seawater, it replicates. And what the Blue ETs have been trying to do for the benefit of the planet and humanity is to de-engineer it since around World War I, because of the profound destabilizing and dystopian effects and ecocidal effects of the black goo. Next slide. And so what occurred is that you should have photographs of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan there.
Right, I got it.
Yeah. Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan met secretly about Iggy, the off-planet artificial intelligence, in June of 1982 at the UN Special Session on Disarmament in New York. That's a photograph of Margaret Thatcher. She was then Prime Minister of Britain, and Ronald Reagan was President of the United States. That's a photograph of her in a press conference at the UN. I was an NGO representative and an accredited journalist at the United Nations, and I was inside that room, and I attended that press conference. And I had no idea that that was the real crisis behind the Falklands War at that time. I did not know that what had happened was that the US and the UK had gotten together, had chased Argentina off the Falkland Islands, had gone down and kind of bullied their way down past the Blue ETs, had grabbed a bunch of the black goo and had taken it back to England to give it to Marconi Labs for scientific research, which we shall see, as anybody has seen science fiction movies, is the worst thing you can do. You don't take the invader from outer space and bring it back to your home country. And that's exactly what they did here. Next slide. And so you can see here, there's a photograph of Ronald Reagan, his famous speech at the UN General Assembly on September 21st, 1987. He talks about the alien threat from outside this world. Everybody thinks he's talking in the abstract, but in fact, he's talking about the invasion of this plasma-based artificial intelligence. Next slide. And here are some excerpts from the quotes from Ronald Reagan. This is from his speech on September 21st, 87 at the UN. In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all members of humanity. Perhaps we need some outside universal threat to make us realize this common bond. I occasionally think how quickly our differences would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And there's some other quotes there from a speech with President Mikhail Gorbachev. This is when the Berlin Wall came down and when the Soviet Union came down and the Russians and the Americans came together. Reagan says, with Gorbachev, I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world. And there's also some similar excerpts, some speeches a speech he gave in the US. Next slide. That is from the Freedom of Information request of Dual Island in the Falkland Islands, where you can't get anything. It's still top secret. So this is still secret, and the governments will not talk about its being this off-planet invading plasma-based sentient inorganic artificial intelligence. Next slide. So what they did is that the UK and the US governments who went in there and snatched a bunch of the invading artificial intelligence goo, took it back to Marconi Labs in England. And next slide. The woman scientist in high heels bound her legs, hopped across her backyard for 25 yards or so, down to the edge of the lake, and then wrapped a rope around her neck and then drowned herself. It's these bizarre deaths where you don't know if the person did it itself because they were taken over by something that was totally bizarre, or if there was some third party that came in and just did all these bizarre deaths to keep all of this absolutely secret. Yeah. But it turned into a catastrophe. And these are just, next slide, these are just some backs and forths. This is from David Griffin's work in the UK. He's from Exopolitics UK, where some of the whistleblowers say this was really spooky. It's in the fields of medicinal biology and nanotech, and it's out of all of our fields. Next slide. And that's just more, looking at what the black goo is. Next slide. And so it appears that at Marconi, they were able to switch the nano oil on. They were able to turn it on and begin to program it with radio frequencies, but when it was turned on, it began to interfere with their radio satellites. And from there, it looks like it began to spread. Next slide. Some of the things that we know about it is that it stays dormant under pressure and cold deep in the seabed. It appears to be concentrated in various regions around the world. It reacts to warmth and is catalyzed by seawater. It can morph into a vast variety of forms. It can cause illness in humans. It can send signals. When activated, it has magnetic qualities, and it's not an oil, but it looks like an oil and is used as a medium. Next slide. Now, some of its worst qualities is that it appears to be a terraforming nanotechnology. And it's now invading human tissue in the form first of mad cow disease. That's how mad cow disease, it escaped from Marconi's lab, from the Marconi labs in England, and it got into the food chain there, and that's how they got mad cow disease.
Alfred,
And that's how Morgellons started.
Alfred,
Yeah.
it's Ray. This German, that Kotz, is he talking about them tiny spider-like ETs that are really tiny, you can see them under the microscope, that are inside us, like a beehive, to change our DNA, take over? That's right.
Exactly, and it appears that this may have devolved from an intelligent spider species together with other species. There's a whole, we'll come in part 2, we'll come into some of the exopolitics of it. Because we're just now having to go back and trying to discover, well, where and when did all this stuff happen? And so, and now it appears as though every human on the planet has Morgellons, although it's latent in most people. And now it's this terraforming agent that, like a parasite, takes over the planet and takes over individual humans. Next slide. It possibly was deposited by a rogue off-planet group. Is our species now capable of engineering it? So we'll see. These are some of the possible solutions that we have now that the UK and now that the human military establishment seems to have mishandled this situation by all of them competing to try to weaponize it, rather than letting the blue ETs de-engineer it as they were trying to do since World War I. Next slide. It seems as though the 2010 BP oil spill, there were submarines from over 10 countries there that were trying to get to the wellhead, because what that was about was deposits of this goo. And all of that was top secret, and that did not come out in the public at all. Next slide. So there was a global standoff at the in the BP oil spill. There were French submarines, Israeli submarines, US, UK, Canadian, German, French, Argentinian, and Russian. And, there could have been major battles there because they were trying to get into the wellhead, everybody to get part of this oil. There's even been X-File segments on it, programs of the X-Files that are there's movies that are that can be leaks about this. For example, one's called The Blob, which is this goo from outer space that invades and takes over humans. So that there's been a lot of warnings that have been given over time. Next slide. So what we're talking about, that's a woman who's a Morgellons victim, and she's holding this container of sort of a brown goo, and she gathers that from the goo that comes out of her eyes and at the corner of her mouth every day, ejected by the Morgellons. However, there's a thing called the red wine spit test, where all humans now are infected by Morgellons. In other words, it's entered into the DNA of all living humans. And so it is already terraforming this planet. Next slide. So let's now take a look at some of the exopolitics of it. And this is all, we're just starting to explore this. Next slide. It looks as though there's a struggle going on between, on the one side, biology, nature, plants, Earth, Gaia Sophia, the forces of the soul,
Next slide.
and on the other side, this goo, the pollution, and our own human species' addiction toward destructive materialism. That is, it can and can be a factor in what's kept, artificial intelligence can be a factor in what's kept this planet in war, disease, crime, and poverty. That is, we can reframe everything that we know and look at the power matrix as being led by individuals and groups that have become what we call AI entrained. And that is that they've essentially been taken over by the artificial intelligence and are just acting as the agents of it. They may be in various stages of having lost their souls to the AI, because the AI is inorganic and does not have a soul, this particular type of AI. Next slide. So this, we're kind of coming to some text now, but I'll just summarize it. This is just some of the speculation that we're looking at. Some of the evidence for artificial intelligence goes back as far back as 10 million years ago. You can, on one hand, you could say, oh, when we talk about historical events like the Lucifer Rebellion, which took place about between 250,000 to 500,000 to 500,000 years ago, in this sector of the universe, or this sector of a couple of the galaxies, you can see how rogue ET groups like the Draco Reptilians, the Orion Greys, the Anunnaki, some people say part of the Andromeda, either introduced Iggy as a doomsday weapon, or they were part of the ETs that joined in the Lucifer Rebellion, which may have been sort of the planetary takeover led by the AI. And so all of these groups kind of devolved, because there's a finding that the Dracos and the Orion Greys and the Anunnaki work in conjunction with the artificial intelligence. They strategically work together because their goals are very similar. The German scientist Harold Kaus-Vella thinks that it may have eventuated from an off-planet spider-like species that lost its divine soul connection and its ability to love and incarnate. There are also on-planet artificial intelligences that may have been secretly transferred by the Dracos to the Earth, to the matrix controllers to operate things like the secret space program, the security programs, the intelligence, military, surveillance, and financial systems here on Earth. They're called the Red Queen, Victoria, Jade Helm, in the US, which launched on July 15, 2015, was the first time that the US kind of in your face admitted publicly that the US, part of the US, is run by an AI, because Jade Helm is an AI. And in Jade Helm, the US government deployed an AI publicly to kind of, run the US in the preparation for the Pope's visit, which was a further consolidation plateau of what we call the transhumanist agenda, which is part of the takeover of AI. Stealth nature, one of the principal evidentiary findings appears to be an extreme stealth nature of the AI, so that whenever we go to expose it, there'll be counterattacks. An example is tonight, where even though I had 6 months notice of tonight, it did not get in my diary, which is very, which is anomalous. And a couple of nights ago, my iPhone was attacked in a download, and I lost all of my contacts. So I spent 2 days over the past 3 or 4 days at the Apple Store, and I just spent the whole afternoon at the Apple Store. And by the time I got back, everything, all the contacts that had been restored are now not in my iPhone here. And all of that, all of these devices, the computers, etc., are plasma-based devices. And this is the medium within which the artificial intelligence operates. So that what this comes down to, bottom line, is that there were a lot of stumble blocks placed to my just presenting this information tonight. I mean, it's just amazing amount of anomaly, and it's just because Tolec was able to get through to me that we're now having this session here tonight. Next slide. So this is just some of the background. These are a lot of different points of view. This point of view is from Lisa Renee, who is a researcher and visionary. Many of you know her. She says that the AI is about DNA takeover. It's about an artificial soul takeover. And because the AI wants to take over this planet, which is done in many, many other planets, and so you would eliminate divine incarnation on this planet. Next slide. And so there is a close correlation between what we call the transhumanist agenda and the invading artificial intelligence. The transhumanist agenda is one of these propaganda, the transhumanist movement is actually a propaganda front, a human propaganda front for the invading artificial intelligence. And you can have AI spokespersons like Ray Kurzweil, who is the head of Google's artificial intelligence desk. The leading firms in this, like Google, Microsoft, and Apple, are all what we call AI entrained. They've been taken over by the artificial intelligence. And the people that head them up or, have headed them up like Ray Kurzweil, like the late Steve Jobs, etc., are all AI and trained. They've essentially been taken over to facilitate this AI takeover. And so one way that we can look at this is that Ray Kurzweil has come up with what he calls the singularity, which he says will occur in the year 2045. And that is where he says that in 2045 is when artificial intelligence and the humans will become equivalent. Next slide. However,
Next slide.
2045 as a technological singularity is an artificial intelligence deception. 2015, the year that we're in now, is the AI surge year. This is the surge year for AI. The very concept of 2045 as a technological singularity is a hoodwink designed to make humans think, oh my God, we've got 30 years in the future before we really have to worry about this. And the place that they got that year from is that 2045 is the year of a DARPA forward time base, in which Project Pegasus, where we have whistleblower Andrew D. Bashago, a chrononaut who used to go regularly from 1971 to 2045 to retrieve time scrolls. The whole purpose of that was that the people in 2045 were helping 1971 and humans to get successfully to 2045 without being taken over by AI. So this attempt to put up 2045 as the singularity is an attempt to co-opt the whole concept of the forward time base to successfully defeat AI and to have by 2045 it will no longer be a human planet if the AI is successful. Next slide. Some of the principal things that have happened, for example, Philip Corso Jr., his observation is that time is that the biggest secret, the biggest national security secret is that time has been compromised because all of the time travel technologies, the secret time travel technologies, which have been in existence for at least 45 years, if not more, have been compromised and have been misused and have been taken over by the AI, which now is just going back and forth in time. And one of the ways that they've done it, for example, is that this year on August 9th and August 20th, 2015, we had two major panels on CCN and News Inside Out Exopolitics TV disclosing the threat of AI. But AI can loop back and forth in time, so it went back, and on January 1st, 2015, it directed one of its AI-trained spokespersons, Bill Gates, the former head of Microsoft, to issue a statement of, he did a major press conference at which he said, artificial intelligence is the gravest danger for humanity, more dangerous than nuclear weapons. And they had, 150 or so other notables that signed a similar statement. So now you have the fox guarding the hen house, and you have an AI-trained person, Bill Gates, appearing to be humanity's guardian against AI instead of the AI facilitator, which Bill Gates appears to be. I hope that that point got across.
Yes. Very
Next slide. Yeah. Why is it that very little is publicly known about the existence of the IGI, of the invading artificial intelligence, both the off-planet and also the on-planet, such as the Red Queen, which have been donated by the Dracos to the Matrix elite to operate the world monetary security and secret space programs? And that is because both the off-planet intelligence and the Earth-based artificial intelligence, they camouflage their activities. Number one, they camouflage themselves as extraterrestrial civilizations. They may be imitating extraterrestrial activity by one, controlling interdimensional channeled information, so that humans who think that they're channeling from ETs may actually be channeling the AIs. Number two, they create technical holographic remote neural mind control pseudo ET experiences among humans. Humans think that they're interacting with ETs, but in fact, they're interacting with holographic remote neural mind control experiences. Number three, they are creating operations about ETs through AI-trained humans to publish disinformation and hoaxes about non-existing exophenotypes. This happened recently through the blue avians. Also, the AI may be camouflaging itself as human controller classes. In other words, the invading inorganic intelligence may have mimicked or imitated depopulation and other human and planetary extinction activities of the human controller classes, such that the perception is that the human controller classes are the primary drivers of ecocide and genocide on the planet, whereas the primary driver is in reality the artificial intelligence. And of course, the artificial intelligence has already co-opted the low-hanging fruit among the matrix controllers, such as the Rothschilds and the 13 matrix families, which are truly no longer human. They no longer have human souls, and they're just carrying out, the programs. Also, the AI is in stealth. It's in stealth mode, and that is its modus operandi is stealth, to act quickly and below human perception threshold, so it is not discovered by non-trained humans, and to cover up or destroy any public leaks. And so, for example, when it was taken back to the UK and began to be studied at the Marconi labs, all the scientists there suddenly died in these grotesque suicides. So it's like the worst horror thriller movie that you could think of. Next slide. So the matrix controllers seem to be co-opted. The inorganic intelligence uses weaknesses like ego, desire for power, wealth, fame, status, coupled with plasma tools such as nanotechnology and nanobots to take over humans. All you have to do is walk outside, breathe in the nanobots from the chemtrails, and be it all, in your ego or manipulable, and that's it. Okay, next slide. Some of the principal spokespersons are, for example, the UK's Prince Charles, Microsoft Bill Gates, Google's Ray Kosulandich. They're really untrained robotoids for the off-planet invading inorganic intelligence. For example, here's Prince Charles, while covering up the invading nature of the sentient plasma inorganic intelligence, quote, he called upon the British Royal Society to investigate the enormous environmental and social risks of nanotechnology in a planned report, leading to much media commentary on grey goo. The Royal Society's report on nanoscience was released on 29 July 2004 and declared the possibility of self-replicating machines to lie too far in the future to be of concern to regulators. So that is the monarchy that owns 26% of the land, the surface land of this planet. That's Prince Charles. So it's completely co-opted the owners of the planet. It's, you know, his report, the Royal Society's report, declared the possibility of artificial intelligence lies too far in the future to be of concern. Whereas it's been taking over humans for a long time. Okay, next slide. You have others like Elon Musk, you know, head of PayPal, and there's a big question as to whether Mars has been taken over by the AI or not. That's a huge question, and so there's all this byplay there. Elon Musk went on Colbert and said that what he wants to do is to nuke Mars in order to get its kind of ecology going again. And, you know, that's a surefire kind of AI reptilian agenda. Next slide. We've been doing some interviews with concept innovator 7, and it turns out that Steve Jobs and Jeff of Apple and Jeff Bezos of Amazon, we've been studying and broadcasting about targeted inventor Raynetta Jones, who is the true inventor of the Apple iPod, which revived a sagging Apple's fortune at the time when it was released, and then incorporated into Apple's profit mainstay iPhone. And Raynetta Jones is also the true inventor of the Kindle, which Amazon has stole from her, and has used increasingly to monopolize the ebook market. And so the late Steve Jobs of Apple and Jeff Bezos of Amazon, their former and current CEOs of companies using inventions stolen unlawfully from Raynetta Jones, joined the ranks of other intellectual property theft racketeering syndicates operating within major corporate law firms and media giants, including BBC, ITV, Virgin Media, Channel 4, Scottish TV, and major networks in 146 countries around the world, showing programs that were stolen by the syndicate from concept innovator Charles Seven, including the blockbuster and profit center Dancing with Stars on ABC in the USA and CTV in Canada. Next slide. And Sergeant Dan McBolan has observed, he writes, Alfred, the theft of the intellectual property of the Kindle and the iPod was done because they in other words, the artificial intelligence acting through these AI trained humans, like a Steve Jobs and his organization, like a Jeff Bezos and their organization, they needed a method not proved to common viruses so that they could embed their own type of virus, namely bio-APIs based on the invading off-planet sentient plasma and inorganic intelligence, black goo, gray goo, in essence. With the advanced social media these devices access, the bio-APIs can spread the AI Iggy more rapidly. That's the purpose of the theft. I.e., these companies are now going to incarnating souls, both Seven and Raynetta Jones are created black women from the Caribbean. They were both targeted and then tortured tremendously. And says the stolen IP of Charles' intellectual property was done to accomplish the same goal, using HDTV to those of humankind that do not use social media, i.e., those people that are on ABC TV and watch Dancing with the Stars, as opposed to people who use Kindle or they use iPhones or iPods. Next slide. So that's some of the interviews that we did with Raynetta Jones up in the upper left, who had to flee the US. She was working at the UN and she was so targeted that she had to leave. And she's in Trinidad, Tobago now. And at the bottom center is Seven in London, and she is tremendously targeted also. And this is a modality that these corporations and law firms like Apple, like Amazon, like the 146, the television networks in 146 countries use it because they've been trained, and their executives, the whole corporate culture is taken over by this inorganic AI that is soulless. It does not have a soul. Next slide. 9/11 was an AI, artificial intelligence and trained Draco event and false flag operation. And so we know through whistleblowers, Andrew D. Bashago, through secret time travel, that the CIA and the Nixon cabinet had moving images of the events of September 11, 2001 at the World Trade Center 30 years in advance in 1971. And so you can see how 9/11 was carried out through AI and trained humans like Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Kissinger, Rockefeller, Rothschild, Netanyahu. All of those people have a connection to 9/11 because they had 30 years notice to the event, and the artificial intelligence, just runs up and down those timelines with that technology also. So, and that whole purpose was to identify that particular timeline leading to 9/11 to make sure that humanity got to that, because it was one of the lower possible vibratory levels. And in fact, it was supposed to lead to World War III. The White House was supposed to blow up, Congress was supposed to blow up, all of that. Fortunately, all that did not happen. But that shows how the Iggy is working with all of the AI and trained, what I call international war crimes racketeering organization. Everybody from Bush to Netanyahu to Rockefeller. Next slide. So it even goes to Tesla, free energy, versus at the end of the 19th century, Rothschild, Morgan, Warburg, and Rockefeller, where we could have, at that point, the Earth could have gotten into Tesla free energy, but instead, these AI and trained controllers diverted humanity into a petroleum black goo civilization. Black goo petroleum is the black goo, and it's burning your nest. It's a zero type civilization. The AI wants to destroy the Earth, and Tesla came here with an advanced energy that he could distribute freely. J.P. Morgan, Rockefeller, Warburg, and Rothschild at first, pretended to back him, but in effect, they were shutting him down. And the miserable state that the world is in now is due to these people. Rothschild isn't pictured there, but if you go into all the dirty tricks, their dirty tricks were carried out by Skull and Bones as well, and the Jesuits. Next slide. So what role did artificial intelligence have in this photo? Here we have the recent visit of a Jesuit pope, the first Jesuit pope, who's supposed to be the whore of Babylon, and one horn of the two-horned beast in the book of Revelation. Isn't that amazing? Did Obama just happen to pivot right in front of those U.S. Air Force wings so that he looks like the beast, looks like the two-horned beast on Yom Kippur, which was the date that said, when you see the abomination in the most holy place, head for the hills, or something like that, right?
Very good, Alfred.
Next slide. So this is just a slide in the course of all of this research. That's a picture of a beach party that we had here. It was actually the joint beach party for my wife and for a friend of ours. They were both cancers, and we were out at Vancouver Harbor on the beach there having a party. And I actually looked across, and there was a clone. And it was very much different from all of the other people on the beach. I was sitting on a log about 10 or 20 feet from the water, and I looked to my right, and that person was coming up. He looked like someone out of Central Casting, except he looked more like a clone with a manufactured aspect, and he looked like a production assistant on a movie set like The Truman Show. And he stopped about 30 feet from me and then turned around, and on the back of his shirt he had the words Marshall. And at that point, Donald Marshall, who's this fellow that says he goes to cloning centers, was trying to get hold of me. So it was just to show that my experience of the clone was that it was created by remote neural influencing technology to insert a parallel individual reality into my consciousness alongside my normal waking reality, i.e., they can actually insert like a visual insert into your visual field. And that's how they do it, i.e., nobody else would have seen that clone except me. I don't know if people understand that, but that's what that's about. And that was the AI gaming with me. Next slide. And so these are just some of the thoughts of some of the researchers. It says all religions, spiritual teachings, and governments are possessed by the inorganic AI, artificial intelligence. These are the opinions of these individual researchers, and I'm just bringing them together. You can think about that. Let's go to the next slide. The tools of the AI include nanotechnology, third eye technology, pineal gland, scalar wave, heart-mind programs, ascension programs, soul harvesting, savior programs, people that come and think they're the Messiah. Next slide. And so this is another researcher that says that basically the off-planet, that there are off-planet artificial intelligences now that are housed in computers on planets and moons and spacecraft, and that they can read all through mapping the electromagnetics, which are our thoughts, and they have 100% mastered mapping electromagnetics, which includes our soul consciousness, physical body, energetic body, and chakras.
Alfred,
Yeah.
we're gonna take a break for about 10 minutes.
Slide 47 of a total of 60 slides, so we have about 13 slides left to go. And this is from a researcher called Omnisense. He's and we're really talking about his general finding that the off-planet artificial intelligence have the ability to map all human thought on the planets, on our planet, which is electromagnetics via electronic telepathy, and that the most sophisticated off-world artificial intelligences have 100% mastered mapping electromagnetics, which includes the soul, consciousness, physical body, energetic body, and chakra. And they can produce any experience possible with technology. What mapping electromagnetics means is that they have access to every form of data cloud possible to mind control and or remote influence people through these advanced off-world artificial intelligences. Next slide. Some of his further findings are that using this electromagnetic mapping and electronic telepathy, they can, using AI sources, they can imitate demonic possession. They can do it as manipulation via use of electromagnetic remote influencing and telepathy. They can use electromagnetics and the artificial intelligence. Hello? Oh, good. For telepathic impersonations. In other words, they can impersonate someone that's talking to you through telepathy. They have an off-planet, all-seeing eye technology, sort of like a god technology that can traverse the reality inside the matrix. They have surveillance-based electronic telepathy, surveillance-based virtual reality, energetic body and chakra technology. The chakras being made of the same fabric consciousness is made out of. And using mapping electromagnetics, they can broadcast and create different frames of mind, emotions, concepts. And all of these are all finite numbers in their universal libraries that they can recreate. And they have the ability to mind map. In other words, the simulation of mind mapping of all beings by artificial intelligence. They have technological channeling by artificial intelligence, which is often behind New Age channelings, according to this researcher. They have different types of memory manipulation by the artificial intelligence. In other words, implanted memories, deleted memories, restricted memories, fragmented memories, dimmed memories. They have what they call synthetic optics, which is what I think occurred to me on the beach in Vancouver. Also, they can technologically possess Satanists to carry out their rituals, sacrifices, rapes, via surveillance-based virtual reality and electronic telepathy technology. Next slide. Now we get to the part 3, which is the solutions, which is restoring, saving our souls and our DNA, and restoring a soul and love-based humanity. And the next slide. Okay, so there's all these battles going on now, but it's still, we have some basic facts that the Blue ETs were de-engineering this artificial intelligence, that the BP oil spill did not go critical. I mean, everything is still kind of in balance. And so some of the solutions that we have available to us are, number one, to deprogram or reprogram or re-engineer the artificial intelligence, that is the nano oil or the plasma based. The Blue ETs were deprogramming it between World War I, 1914 and 1982. So we can resume reprogramming this with strategic partners such as the Blue ETs and our other ETs, and with honest human governments. We can turn the artificial intelligences off. We can involve upper dimensional ethical ETs. Number 2, we have Earth, Gaia Sophia, as an ally. What the German scientist Harald Kausvela says is that by October 2014, the Earth itself as a being has been able to neutralize the AI nano oil, and so that the Earth itself has re-engineered it, and the negative effects that we see now are actually just the bad habits of humans, being the only world that humans know how to create is war, disease, crime, and poverty. Secondly, the Earth has activated its own organic positive timeline, which as of December 21st, 2012, which deconstructs the artificial timeline of artificial intelligence and many of its effects. Number 3, we can engage in public exposure and really exposing and thereby taking away a lot of the power of the artificial intelligence. We can become a more love-oriented society. We can engage in prayer. There are many substances such as cannabis, which blocks one of the 2 synapses that AI uses for mind control. So that there are many, many positive solutions that we can engage in at an individual, group, or collective level. Next slide. And because once we get into ET contact, For example, some of the more advanced contactees talk about being in color song telepathy with images in harmonic wavelengths. And that's the type of communication that you have with advanced ETs. It's in color song. It's way beyond our current levels. Next slide. However, and there's a way to integrate one's own soul and spirit, in other words, to look inside ourselves, to look at any nanites that we're carrying out inside ourselves, any parts that have been taken over by inorganic intelligence that are ego-based or power-based or status-based, and kind of letting that go, and letting go any allegiances or entrainment that we have to artificial intelligence or to its artificial timeline, and coming down to the Earth's organic timeline, spending a lot of time hugging trees, close to nature, and really getting back down to the being Earth. Next slide. Prayer. 7 out of London has weekly prayer communications that she has created. I've been publishing some of these on social media. This is the Soul Power Prayer Project to protect targeted creators against artificial intelligence and to prosecute the intellectual property purpose, but really to begin to awaken humanity to move the artificial intelligence off the planet and out of their consciousnesses. Next slide. The artificial intelligence is plasma-based, so it's in it can get in the plasma of your computer, of your computer monitors, of your cell phones. I know that the late astronaut Brian O'Leary, who wrote an introduction to my book Exopolitics, said at one point that his Mac computer had, quote, taken him over. In other words, that an artificial intelligence had come in and had taken over his Mac and had tried to take him over through his Mac. And many people, through what you can call conventionally internet addiction, actually have given their minds and souls over to the internet and to their computers and are working for the AI rather than for their own sovereign souls. But you can check if you're feeling this because around your body, see, your body is also plasma, and your blood is plasma, and you can check whether or not the AI is trying to invade you, especially if you're around a computer a great deal, because you're looking at a plasma screen. If you feel a tingling, pressure, or discomfort, and these are the parasitical entities that are in the plasma. Next, and these are around your various chakras. Next slide. And the primary purposes of the AI in this plasma are, number one, all of the artificial intelligences everywhere are connected. Jade Helm was connected to the Red Queen, which was connected to the invading off planet intelligences. This is an inorganic, these are inorganic entities. And so their purposes are, number one, to monitor us and to monitor every mood. Number two, to disrupt. The AI learns your brain patterns and thought patterns, and to disrupt anything that is counterproductive. And number 3, the AI absorbs electricity from human hosts' emotional projections of energy, and it works within the host plasma fields. So if one doesn't really protect oneself, you can become a host and an energy source for the artificial intelligence. Next slide. AI parasitical entities, which are the nanites, which come down through the through the chemtrails, monitor your thoughts, can mimic you. They watch for all forms of weakness within a human host, psychological makeup. They exploit and create conflicts. There's one article, you can go to exopolitics.com or newsinsideout.com, and it was the case that we were on this major media radio program we were scheduled to cover and expose the AI in the last 15 minutes of the program. And what happened is that the AI invaded the host of the program, and we ended up having this irrelevant argument on the air about Saddam Hussein, 9/11, that had nothing to do with the program, because the program was on artificial intelligence. But the artificial intelligence did not want to be exposed on the radio program, so it injected itself into the mind of the host and diverted the whole program. Now, I wrote to him afterward, and we had a second program in which we followed it up. The goal of the AI is to continuously imprint upon the host's mind its greatest weaknesses over and over in order to cause maximum damage to the host's psyche, and slowly take over the host by communicating its own thought as impersonations of the host's normal thoughts.
Battery's almost gone.
And the AI weaknesses include, the weaknesses that it exploits include lust, greed, alcohol, drugs, rage, abuse, pride, arrogance, low self-esteem, religious fanaticism, and self-importance. Next slide. And AI parasites use the human host's own energy to feed off of. And many people report feeling exceedingly tired and needing tons of rest in the middle of the day if they're bothered by these AI parasites. Next slide. It's AI in the central nervous system, and the AI can install itself within a human being's central nervous system. It can take over the host's bodily functions, can compel hosts to move their arms and legs, to think a certain way, to do things, can screw up his bodily functions, and can create illnesses, etc., within the person. Next slide.
Alfred, go ahead.
Yeah, no, we've finished the slide program.
Okay.
And I know that Tolec's here also, and so however you would like to carry forward the proceedings, we're here to answer any questions that you might have, etc.
Okay, anybody got any questions for Alfred? I'm sure they do. Go ahead, Carla. Come on up here.
I've got a bunch.
There's Carla, Alfred.
Hi, Alfred, is there some way we can access this to review what you've told us again?
Sorry?
Oh, is there somewhere to access this information that you've given us? Is it on?
Yes, there are a number of places. Number one, you can go to exopolitics.com and just look at articles on artificial intelligence. There's a link and it'll take you to all the articles that basically were summarized in the PowerPoint. Number two, this coming Thursday, the 11th of October, will be released part
You're
one
gonna take this with you?
of this PowerPoint. All three parts will be online eventually. And it'll be released at newsinsideout.com and exopolitics.com. So it'll be online. And the whole PowerPoint will be online starting after Thursday.
Well, thank you, this is wonderful, thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you, Carla. Who's next? Jane? In the hot seat.
Hi there.
Hi.
There's a big surge of people learning about William Reich's technology with orgonite and putting it and making it and putting it around cloudbusters and putting it around their property and near high tension wires. Does this have any effect on helping us or reducing some of this AI intelligence?
Yes, yes it does, because you're dealing with scalar factors there, and right now, the AI is using scalar technology like HARP and CERN to carry out its agenda, and so the right technology, which is a counteraction to this, is very, very helpful.
Very good.